Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Radex Obsidian and its gamma spectroscopy features, as well as how to set those features up. This is the Radex Obsidian. The Radex Obsidian is a versatile dosimeter and gamma spectrometer. It is a small thallium-doped cesium iodide scintillation crystal, which gives it the capability of rudimentary gamma spectroscopy and energy-compensated dose calculation. The Radex is not unique, as there are several devices on the market like it, all at different price points. One example is the Radiocode. But today we're going to focus on the Obsidian. So the first thing you need to know about the Obsidian is it has a relatively small detector volume, so it's very inefficient at high energies such as those exceeding 1 mega electron volt. The total detection efficiency at around 200 kV is estimated by me to be somewhere between 15 and 25%. This is fairly good for a crystal of this size. Let's take a look at the Obsidian's menu, and I will show you how to navigate to the Spectrum page. So to turn it on, you simply hold the middle button and wait a couple of seconds. Then press the right button twice, then the middle button. Finally, navigate to the Spectrum, and you'll have a gamma spectrum. Now, it's not very useful to look at this spectrum here when you're really doing analysis, but this is useful for field analysis, right? This is how you might view a spectrum on the field. Ultimately, you might want to analyze spectra a little bit further, and we will go into PC connection in a little while. As you can see, there's a little marker for the 662 keV cesium-137 photopeak. This is useful for tracking nuclear fallout. Now you might be wondering, what else can the Radex Obsidian do? I may make a future video informing you about other interesting features, but for now we're just going to talk about spectroscopy. Now let's talk about the PC compatibility of the Obsidian. Your Obsidian can connect to your PC or Mac through USB or Bluetooth, but I found the latter not to work on my PC. You may want to install some programs before beginning. These programs are the Radex Data Center, Becquerel Monitor, which doesn't really work very well for me, but it's a good application. And an alternative to Becquerel Monitor is Gamma MCA. I find that Becquerel Monitor barely works on my Windows PC, but it's very intuitive and has a few better features. But if you can't get it to work, or like me, can't read Japanese, Gamma MCA works as well. The first step to getting gamma spectra is to connect your Obsidian to your PC or Mac via a cable or Bluetooth connection. I recommend a cable as it is faster and easier to get connected, as well as more reliable. You will need a USB Type-C cable. Here's the cable. It's a regular USB Type-C to USB Type-A. And you will need to plug in the Radex Obsidian at the bottom here, and then plug this end into your PC. Now you're going to need to boot up the Radex Obsidian. Well, it's not specific to Radex Obsidian, but it's the Radex Data Center app. And this is basically going to be the app that controls the Obsidian and collects data from the Obsidian. You cannot I don't believe you can directly put pulses into Becquerel Monitor or Gamma MCA from the Obsidian from the raw pulses. I think you have to import the data using this application. Now you're going to need to boot up the Radex Obsidian. Well, it's not specific to Radex Obsidian, but it's the Radex Data Center app. And this is basically going to be the app that controls the Obsidian and collects data from the Obsidian. You cannot I don't believe you can directly put pulses into Becquerel Monitor or Gamma MCA from the Obsidian from the raw pulses. I think you have to import the data using this application. Now you're going to have to wait a second for this Obsidian to appear. It can take anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds, maybe even sometimes a little less. But once you see it, you click on the Obsidian and you click connect, and again it might take a second. And now we're into the Radex Obsidian menu. Now to start gathering spectrum data, you don't actually need to do anything. The Obsidian automatically logs gamma rays in the energy histogram. To load data from the Obsidian to the histogram, or to this histogram, which will appear right here, simply press the button right here that updates the spectrum, or alternatively, auto read start will automatically read the spectrum every 10 seconds. Now let's press spectrum read and see what we get. We can see a little pretty generic background spectrum. So for your first measurement, you're going to need to do a little bit of setup. First, I'm going to reset the gamma spectrometer's data by selecting clear data. So next, you're going to need to do a little bit of setup. First, you need to take a background reading of the length of your choice. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do before that is you're going to need to clear the spectrum. And you can do that by clicking Spectrum Reset. Now, spectrum read again. And we'll have a fresh spectrum. You can see that it's very rough. It's just collecting points. And I'm going to let this go on for about a minute on background. Now, you would usually do much longer, but just for this demonstration, I want to do only a minute. So it's important to stay consistent with your background measurement and your sample measurement. If you measure a 1 minute or a 30 minute or a 2-hour background, you're probably going to want to use a 1 minute or a 30 minute or a 2-hour spectrum of your sample, because you want to keep it consistent. So now we have it at about a minute. And I'm not going to take a full scan, but this is just good enough for now. And now you're going to click right here to export your spectrum. It's going to export it as a Becquerel monitor file. I'm going to click Save. Or actually, I'm going to name it Demo Spectrum. And now I'm going to clear the spectrum, reset, and now turn it back on and place this, well, you can't see it, but it's near my computer, but this radium clock here, I'm going to place this by the detector. And we should start seeing a lot of peaks, a lot of data coming in, because it is quite an active clock, and you can already see we have some gamma rays coming in. So while we're waiting for this, let's talk a little bit about photopeaks. These are basically the gamma photons emitted by nuclides reaching stable configurations, and they're what we need to pay attention to. So two big peaks in this spectrum are going to be right here at 186, although it's not properly calibrated, and 609 right here, which is better calibrated. And these correspond to, I believe, lead 214 or lead 212 and bismuth 214. And these are not the only photopeaks in radium 226, which is a sample. But those are some of the ones that we can distinguish from this kind of messy spectrum. So now we have a minute on the acquisition. So uranium and radium have very similar spectra, and I'll show you a spectrum of uranium. And now radium. The uranium photopeaks mainly come from radium, and by that I mean the subsequent daughter products of the radium itself. Our spectra will look a little different than those because we have a smaller detector. Now, we differentiate between the background and our sample using background subtraction. You can do that over here or right here. So you would have to save the data as a Becquerel monitor file and then import it and then set it and then go back. So I'm going to do this in a separate file, but for now just know that if you wanted to do that here, you could do it right here. Now for exporting, you're just going to click right here, and now I'm going to export this as sample spectrum. Save it. Now I do have two separate files for background and samples, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And yeah, so now we can go to Gamma MCA, which is going to be my application of choice. I'm going to open a file for the background data, and it's going to be the demo spectrum, and the spectrum data, which is going to be the sample spectrum. So you can see that there's a comparison. You can clearly see that there is a large peak right here, something right here. Almost you can kind of see it, I don't know, in the longer spectrum you can see it. Something right here, it's harder to see, and something pretty obvious right here. And this is going to be the sample spectrum in orange and the background in gray. I'm not going to go too much into calibration because, quite frankly, it would be too long of a video, and I think your time is better spent looking at other videos that will explain it more in detail. But anyways, as you can see here, there's a peak sort of here, and there's one right here, and one right here, and these are all peaks. Of course, there are some in between here as well that you can't really see, but these are all peaks of radium-226, which is the sample material that I took a scan of. And this right here is what's called X-ray fluorescence. Maybe not fluorescence, but background. If you have lead shielding for your setup, you might see more fluorescence. But this is always going to be there, and it can be noise, it can be interactions within the simulating material. Whatever it is, it's going to show up on pretty much every spectrum, especially ones with higher activity. So I'm not really going to go super big into the analysis. I might make another video on that if I get some more sophisticated gamma spectroscopy equipment. But for now, this is how to set up the spectroscopy on the Radex Obsidian. And yeah, that's all you really need to know about the gamma spectroscopy with the Radex Obsidian, at least setting it up. I really hope you found this video informative, and thank you for watching.